Right, experts. First bit of glass. They're back about there, weren't they? My name's Ed. I'm the chairman of the Waggonway Heritage Group. The Waggonway Project was set up to celebrate the first railway in Scotland, and over the last few years we've been doing various archaeological digs. We've set up a museum locally, and so we're continuing our work through that.
Brilliant. And what are we doing today?
Well, today we're doing something a little bit different. We're on the hunt for a glassworks, an 18th century glassworks, and the link to the Waggonway, it was all owned by the same people, the York Buildings Company, back in the 1720s and 30s. So we have a glassworks that was only operational for maybe 5 or 10 years. Produced a lot of glass while they were operational, and then fizzled out through one thing and another, politics and interesting characters involved. So we're really on the hunt for artefacts relating to that, waste glass, bits of crucible, possibly ventilation tunnels for the glass cones themselves.
Did you make no one was having electronic stuff?
Nobody could have seen what was coming right now.
No, of course.
Oh, I don't know. And also, he was also at the tack on the Waggonway as well.
Yes.
Some of the bits and pieces that we're looking for that might relate specifically to the glassworks here in Port Seton. So Helen, what have we got on the table?
So on the table we've got a few things that have already been found.
You're local here, aren't you?
Yes, so we stay in Port Seton. We stay just not far from here, stone's throw. Yeah.
And what brought you to the project?
Well, I'm an historian by profession, so I came down here because we had children and we needed a place that had more space. Came down here just because the heritage is so rich here. It's just such a wonderful place to raise a family. There's so many interesting projects, such as the Waggonway Project, to get involved with. There's a great sense of community here.
Nice. And what are you hoping to find over the next day or two?
Well, the project right now is really focused on the glass industry, but what we're really hoping to find is anything which tells us just a little bit more about what life was like living in Cockenzie and Port Seton.
Well, this is actually a project by the 1722 Waggonway, but we are the SAS, as they call it, the Seton Archaeological Society. That's all of the guys here, and we've done some independent digs with other archaeologists.
Well, today, mostly, I'm going to be on the hunt for some glass fracture, for bits and bobs of glass. We're looking for the glassworks. Built here around about 1700s odds, something like that.
We're here in the back of the manse garden, the old Church of Scotland garden. Lovely, beautiful garden, as you can see. The owner thought, quite literally with hindsight, there was a void here, and we were expecting to find something to do with the glass house flues. The 18th century glassworks is just behind us, just there, or behind you rather, and it needs a flue system to work. So we were speculating with voids in the area, it may be something to do with that. It's turned out to be, well, it's industrial archaeology, but we can tie it down to the 19th century, 20th century. It's an inspection point, a brick-built inspection point for a ceramic drain that goes with the manse. So we haven't found what we've wanted, but we've helped them track where their services go.
And it was quite exciting to be part of this today. So we're doing these test pits at the moment, and each garden's got one test pit. So we're just seeing what we can find. We're actually looking for the possible 18th century glassworks. And at the moment, we've found lots of bits of broken pot, lots of bits of grass. We've even done some metal detecting on here, and we've got a 1942 ship's halfpenny, a 1960 threepenny bit, we've got a wee silver button and other odds and ends. So just to get a social history of the house and what was here. But the main thing is just to see if we can actually find or locate anything that connects with that glassworks.
There's a rodding point for the drains, covered with 2 large concrete slabs. So we'll record it as archaeology, backfill it, returf it, and then go on and do another test pit in the area and see if we can find something slightly older. It's basically if the drain gets blocked by any waste material, instead of kind of putting a pipe down from the sink or the toilet or whatever, they can come to a specific point, open it up, see if it's actually active, and if it's blocked here, they can stick a rod down and just plunger it away, just to push the blockage out the way.
I'm digging this particular spot about 1 metre by 9, maybe 85, in the spot here because about 6 months ago I was replanting this plant that was outgrown the living room into the ground here. Went down about 2 feet and found all bits of broken pottery, broken bits of brick, and some old glass fractures, bits and bobs when I was down there. So when I heard about the project of looking for the glass house, I thought, well, there, and we're in the area, that would be the place to spot. So I dug about some of the kind of bits and bobs which I dug out the ground, because I remember at the time finding this piece of glass, odd bit of glass at the time, and wondering what that was all about. So that's one thing here, but and a bit of brick. So down in this corner here, there's quite a lot of old bits of pottery. I don't know how old that is or not, but there was quite a lot of that down there, which I slung into that corner. Maybe it's appropriate, it's something, I don't know, but someone will look at that. And there's other, as I said, these bits of odd looking glass.
There's a box of bits and pieces. It's well mixed because this is garden topsoil. So it's basically out of context. We're hoping as we go down we get to a solid layer, then it's more dateable. But at the moment it's just good to get some finds at such a small square.
We're looking at this rather old building at Cockenzie Harbour because we suspect that it may be part of the Earl of Winton's salt works, which was built in 1630. Over there, closer to the sea, we excavated a salt pan 2 years ago and found datable evidence at the bottom which said that it was part of the Earl of Winton's structures, which were built sometime around about 1635. So we had wondered about this building because of its rather strange construction. The top part is clearly quite modern, but below that the wall level is very rough and irregular. It appears on a number of plans we've got, dating from at least 1700. So we were trying to find out, is it part of the much earlier structure? So we're using as dating the fact that the harbour level we're standing on here is built largely by Robert Stevenson in the 1830s. Now we know from earlier excavations we've done around here that he was working on a much older harbour, which goes back, really we're not quite sure how long, but we certainly know that the harbour was recorded to have been built here in the mid-1600s. So we think that that harbour was probably at a somewhat lower level than this one, and that it was all built up, because as we've excavated around here, we found lots of built-up material. The sort of thing we find is this, which is flint. And flint, of course, is not native to Scotland. This has been brought in as ballast and used to build up the harbour. So we've dug down here at a point, unfortunately we have this large boat here which is in the way, but we've dug down here following two what we thought were door jambs. But quite quickly we came to a sill. So the sill is only around about level with the harbour as it stands here. And that sill is integral with the door jambs. They stand on top of it. So clearly what we've got is not a door sill but a window sill. In fact, there's no wear at all on it as there would have been on a door sill. So if that's a window level, you don't get windows down at ground level. The window must be maybe 2 to 3 feet above floor level. So we think that the original floor level here is at least 3 feet lower down. So we're trying to trace it down on the wall face to see if we can locate a foundation course. Because if that's the case, then it puts it at the harbour level. And if that ties up with the harbour level we've got already, then we're pretty sure that this predates the harbour. And that would put it well back.
What are you guys doing?
A dig.
What are you looking for?
Ideally the remnants of the Waggonway, because they think it ran through our property, because the wall that's out the front, it was in line with that, so they think they might find part of it if we can get far enough down.
So what have you guys found so far?
Bits of pottery and glass, a bottle stopper that was probably a marble if they got it. It's all like 18th, 19th century stuff. There's been a lot of the same level stuff, like with the black sand, so there's quite a lot of it, so we think maybe someone's dumped all the rubbish in the area.
Couple things we were looking for. We were hoping to find anything related to the glass industry, which we know was in this area. We were also trying to do a bit of exploration in terms of the 19th century buildings behind us here. We know that there is a boundary wall which crosses through here. We also know that there was a path which came on a bias through this area. So we were hoping to find some evidence of that. What we've actually found is 2 layers, one of topsoil, the other of sand. We've taken the sand layer down with the sondage till we hit the water table. So we're confident that what we're seeing here is in fact a natural sterile layer.
Alan, can you tell me what you found here on day 1?
Right, well day 1, this is our 4th trench that Ian has dug in the back of the manse garden. Every one of our targets we've done so far has proved to be part of the early 19th century drainage system for the house, which is all, I mean, it's modern, it's industrial archaeology, but it tells a story of part of the old manse.
As we said before, we had come down, we found a few pieces of glass, lots of pottery. We found 1 piece of melted spoil, which we think must be from the old glassworks, which is there.
This was a random trench we decided to put in, where we knew there was absolutely nothing that had been recorded before. What Ian's done is gone through 2 layers at the moment. The modern topsoil, it's got Victorian stuff in it, 20th century stuff, and we're just getting down onto this sort of dark brown sandy stuff with bits of pan tile in it, and it's producing quite a lot of bone. Sorry, this was the layer above, producing quite a lot of bone, mostly cattle bone, but you can see it's been butchered and cut and sawn. And there's also a couple of nice bits of transfer printed pottery coming out of there.
We came down through a light sandy soil, and what we've come upon is some kind of laid floor or working surface or a backyard, and it's not like demolition rubble you see off a wall, it's properly been placed there. So we've got the next trench going on over there, and that's to see if this follows to this side, because over the wall I believe they've got the same kind of thing going on. So it looks like it has been built. It's maybe a place that's been muddy and they've just laid them down, and it's a rough surface, but it's definitely been laid. But this is an important one now, because we started trench number 2 and we found again lots of bits and pieces of pottery. We've found a George IV Irish halfpenny from 1823, that came out the trench, and they've just taken away 2 larger pieces of molten glass. That's been spoiled, it's maybe come out, dripped out the crucible and it's been melted. One of them's like green, another one's blue cobalt colour. So they're quite excited, so that's been taken away along to the museum. They want to check and photograph and properly check it. We've got a few animal bones and lots of bits and pieces coming out of there, but at the moment we're still in this context one.
We did find some interesting small finds, which are helpful. So we found some interesting pottery, ranging from transfer ware down to annular ware, which I've been told by an actual archaeologist that this is in fact a locally produced kind of pottery. So we're interested to do a little bit more research on this, find out what we can learn from that. We've also found what we suspect is a bit of hand-painted pearlware. So again, that's interesting. Right there, we see a bit of a chronology of a chronology of different kinds of pottery. Possibly the most interesting thing we found though was a tiny little piece of waste glass. Now, whilst that may not seem the most exciting of finds, being that we're trying to explore the glass industry here, this is actually a very important find. In part because it has lots of tiny little air bubbles. So, one of our glass experts has identified this as part of the actual production process of glass. So that's very interesting.
Most of the story for this trench it'll tell its story tomorrow.
This trench is complete as far as for our purposes, so we're going to go through a very careful process of backfill and yeah, move on to the next trench. So
we'll be going down to what might be this level and see if we've got this same down here and have it over here. So at the moment we're just playing it very simply, but we'll be back again tomorrow and that'll be Act 2, as they say. So yes.